Hello, my name is Bryn Daniel. My lawyer tells me that I must read scary stories on the month of Halloween, or I lose custody of my YouTube channel. I do not know why this is the reason, but he has told me as such. I must tell you, these stories are not particularly scary or terrifying. They are terrible, but in itself isn't that terrifying. I will be doing all of the music myself, with my mouth, as I have done for Creepypastas in the past. That is what bad scary stories are called on the internet. Creepypasta. I hope you enjoy this collection of bad creepypasta, and if you don't, I'll be outside your house. Not for any reason, I'll just be there, watching, waiting, and probably commiserating. Who knows? Enjoy.
Our first story is Those 5 Seconds. Those 5 seconds are the most terrifying seconds of every day. From the light switch to the bed, you always face the darkness as soon as it appears, in hope that it will give you some kind of security. It never does. The walk, the longest walk of the day, hoping, praying that you won't meet someone along the way. One night, though, it will be different. You will meet your worst nightmare, and those 5 seconds will be your last.
How did you like that story? If you liked it, please give this video a 5 out of 5 stars. On to the next one.
This next story is entitled Invisible. Let me tell you a experience I have had, and if you are looking for answers, I just can't explain what happened that night. Well, one night I was walking down the street as usual, just doing my normal stuff like hanging around with my friends when I went to turn around to high five. My friend, my hand went straight through him. At first I just thought WTF, then I realized no one could hear me, see me, or feel me. I was scared. I thought all of this must have been a bad dream. But it wasn't. It was all too real. Then I had this weird vision. I could see a boy, and that boy was me. I could see I was with my friend Ryan. Then Ryan looked at me like I was a ghost, and a man jumped out of the bushes with a knife, and then the vision stopped. After all of that, I passed out and awoke on a bench in the park. Then I heard a faint voice calling me, so I followed it, and then it stopped near the bushes. I uncovered the truth there. I saw my own body lying there dead with a stab wound in my stomach. I turned around, and there was the murderer staring at me with a black heart and cold eyes. He disappeared. Then I passed out again. This time, I didn't awake.
Then how did you write the story? Who knows? Please rate this story 5 out of 5 stars. On to the next one.
This next horrifying tale is entitled The Cat. One day, little boy was staying home while his mother went to the store. He was sitting on the couch in their living room when he heard a small thump coming from upstairs. Naturally thinking it was their cat, which would always jump off his bed, he went to go check. When he went to go check his room, there was no cat in his room. He then went back downstairs, where somehow the channel was changed to the movie Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
Sorry. The scene where a mangled-looking Jason jumps out of the lake at the beginning keeps repeating. After repeating about 5 times, he hears the sound that plays when Jason's about to murder someone, which sounds a little like chee-chee, chee-chee, coo-coo, coo-coo. Scared, he tries to turn the TV off, but it won't let him. He then, from the room again, meow. Meow, meow, which goes on for several minutes, each time getting deeper in tone, then goes higher in pitch. He goes to, and I'm very scared right now. He goes to investigate. He goes to go investigate. On the stairs is what seems to be his cat's organs neatly put on each step, with the cat's mangled head sitting at the top still meowing with blood dripping each time the cat meows. The boy walks upstairs, trying not to step on his cat's organs. When he gets upstairs, at the end of the upstairs hallway, he sees a little girl with black hair over her face and a visible red eye, she's a Sharingan, which is bleeding. She starts to crawl towards him, with the bones in her arms sticking out. She is crying out the word soon over and over again in a scratchy, low, horrifying way. The boy runs downstairs outside and into the yard where his mother's car is there, blood on the windshield and his mother's mangled body.
And then the story ends. It's over. Please rate this story 5 out of 5 stars. On to the next one.
This last story is entitled Rats. Emmett McKenzie always lived in a rat-infested condominium, or house we shall call it. Emmett had been studying these rats and how their population keeps amplifying into big concourses, and now trying to study where they live and why would attain his house. Emmett was now entering the little shop just across the diminutive street. This other thesaurus. Oh God, the facade is broken. Across the diminutive street near his house, in that shop were vermin traps as far as the eye could see. Emmett started to overreact a little, but then calmly composed himself. He asked the tall man at the counter if they had any good mousetraps of a good sort. The man stood up from his stool and walked to the mousetrap section, pointing at this technical mousetrap which kills mice and rats. Later, Emmett came home with a mouse executioner. I bet those damned rats will flee from my clever and technical assassin machinery, Emmett said to himself, then switched on the mechanism. It started to make aberrant boisterousness, strange sounds, and it gave a red glow and another clatter. As I noticed the machine, it just switched perspective. The machine manufactured, I decided to rest for a while. It was 10:30 p.m. and I heard a slow snap from downstairs and a high-pitched rat screech. As I departed my bedroom, I absconded to the den to find my mechanical ally torn to shreds and bursting with electrocution. I was now antagonized at how those rats would do something that grievous. I was now up to the challenge and infuriated at those anathematized rats. I bolted outside into my 1967 Pontiac GTO and drove off to a friend's house. His friend's name was Connor McDougal, and Connor loves to read. It switched perspective again, loved to read books, fantasy books. Connor used to have a wife named Amelia, but she died falling off a ledge into the ocean on their vacation. I almost feel sorry for the fellow, which I do, but don't want to make the man retrospect back to that cataclysmic moment. There I was in Connor's house, and Connor was nowhere to be seen. I wonder where he could have gone. Connor woke up in his room, and there was something moving in his bed. Connor slowly placed his hand under the wide-ranging blanket and saw something gruesome. His eyes were now bursting at the sight of the horrifying view. Emmett heard a scream come from upstairs, so he bolted up the stairs as fast as he could, with his cloak on, and the flaps in. Is the cloak now? In the back, waving rapidly each step Emmett took. Emmett couldn't believe his eyes as he stepped in the room. They were everywhere, and so as it... Emmett and Connor both gave each other the face of terror. We heard footsteps going up the stairs. Click, click were what repeated up the stairs. It was just a rat peering its eyes into our very souls to our chamber of death? The rat gave a loud shrill. We put both our hands over our ears, but it wouldn't help. Connor couldn't take it. His ears creviced out blood from his brain. His eyes started to discharge the same effect. I ran out, nearly falling down the stairs. Walls from Connor's house withered out, rats infesting the lawn and his pool. There the rats carried the remains of Connor, a leg, an arm, and an eyeball. I quickly started my Pontiac GTO and drove down the diminutive street to my house. I locked my house shut, sealing myself inside the captive condominium. My heart kept pounding rapidly at the sight of thousands of rats. There was my diary lying on the coffee table. I grabbed it and wrote, "Dear Diary, I think this is truly my last day on Earth. My only friend is dead, and I guess I am next on the vermin's list. Yours truly, Emmett McKenzie." I guess now it was time to be deceased, but I couldn't let that happen because if I do, I will never find another friend up there, so I have to survive, Emmett said in his thoughts. Now Emmett grabbed tons of gear for the pester rats. There were now 12 loud ding-dongs on the clock, and the rats came to feast on my trapped cheese. I slowly pulled the trigger, sending machine guns to fire and firecrackers to barrage. Then finally, the big explosion under the floor, rupturing almost the whole house. The rats were now gone, and 2 years later, Emmett had a family. But guess who else had a new family and amplifying this very second? So that was a collection of Creepypasta. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
especially the last story. It was quite fun. I'm going to go now. Into the void I go. I hope that you watch other things that I make, and if you don't, you'll know where to find me. Right outside. Also think about joining my Patreon, and I also have a subscribe button. And do not forget that there are more bad creepypastas that I have read, and there is a playlist for you that you can check out. Goodbye.